How's it going, everyone? Dakota Dickerson here with the F4 United States Championship, doing a Winning Wednesday live question and answer for you guys. Sorry I'm all sweaty, my hair is a mess, look tired. We're actually testing here at DC Autosport at Blackhawk Farms right before the race weekend at Mid-Ohio, so thought I would sneak in a quick question and answer in between sessions. But really, thank you guys for joining in. See, we have 3 people so far, but thank you for joining in. We had a lot of questions submitted also the last couple weeks, so really thank you guys for doing that. Really appreciate all of the effort and support. So just to give you guys a little bit of a background on myself, my name is Dakota Dickerson. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm 21 years old, racing for DC Autosport with Cape Motorsports. This is my second year in the F4 United States Championship. I did a half a season last year. Came in during the Mosport race, which was, I believe, rounds 7, 8, and 9. Missed another race, but finished off the season with the 2 COTA events. Did pretty well. We got third in the championship with Kiwi Motorsport last year, only doing half the races, so that was a lot of fun. And we're back at it again for a second year, going to be doing the full championship. So I'm really excited about that. Just want to give you guys brief background. I started racing go-karts when I was 6 years old. I transitioned into Formula cars through the Skip Barber Racing School when I was 16. Won a couple of scholarships that put me into some junior Formula cars and transitioned into F4 last year. This year so far has been going pretty well. 6 races thus far. We finished on the podium 5 out of the 6 times. Finished second, I believe, twice, and third 3 times. So that consistency has again put us into second in the championship. So we're definitely pushing for that win, but we're looking pretty good for the championship. So I'll get going into some of the questions. I see some people are joining in as well. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them in and submit them during this live Q&A. But I'll start with some of the social media questions that we got throughout this last week. So the first one that we have here is from Clap Clap Cody on Twitter. Do you think that you're too courteous of a driver on the track? I've definitely, especially in go-karts, this has been something that I've worked on, being more aggressive. I think a lot of my strategy is always, we want to go win races, but ultimately we want to go win a championship as well. So for me, I take a lot of calculated risks. I don't necessarily know if it's being too courteous or not, but definitely trying to win a championship, you have to give and have to take. So definitely will be a little bit more aggressive because we are looking for a win. I think we're 17 races in, finished on the podium, I think 10 times in the top 5, 16 of those times. We're still looking for that win, so definitely going to be pushing hard for that. The next one that we have is from Carol541 on Twitter. When preparing for a race, is there anything you have to do before getting into the car? I wouldn't necessarily say there's anything that I have to do getting into the car. I'd personally like to be really relaxed going in. So for me, that's listening to music. I love to listen to some music 5-10 minutes before I get in the car, just keep my mind nice and mellow. But there's nothing really, I guess, like a pre-race ritual that I have other than getting in on the left side of the car. But it seems like the majority of drivers nowadays do that anyways. So yeah. The next question that we have comes from Daniel on Snapchat. The question is, how much time do you spend on the simulator before heading into a race weekend? That's a really good question. So a lot of the tracks that are on the schedule this year I actually haven't been to. So the F4 United States Championship visits a couple of circuits that I haven't gone to. So it's pretty crucial for me to get on the simulator before those. Even the ones that I have been to, it's always great to get onto the simulator and just put in some laps and get acclimated to the track and some of the cars. But I do spend probably, a couple hours a day on the simulator, just trying to put in more seat time. It's the easiest way, and it's actually quite realistic now with iRacing is the program that I use, so it is very, very helpful. The next question that we have comes from Kay on Facebook. What is your future goal as a race car driver? So we're obviously in the F4 United States Championship. It's an FIA series. So the progression for I think a lot of the drivers in this series is to ultimately go to F1 as we get points for our FIA license and super license, and that's I think a lot of the goal for a lot of the young drivers. For me personally, I'm 21 years old, so unfortunately I think my hopes and dreams of becoming a Formula 1 driver are a little bit out the window just because of my age, getting into it a little bit later than a lot of these kids who are starting quite young. And for me, I personally really enjoy the Verizon IndyCar series. I go to a couple of the races every year, so I really enjoy that, and I really would like to be a Verizon IndyCar Series champion and run in the Indy 500 and hopefully win that as well. So I think in this series you'll probably see split answers between going to Formula One and the Verizon IndyCar Series, but for me personally, it's the Verizon IndyCar Series. I see we have a couple more people joining in, so please feel free to submit your questions online. Just kind of scrolling through here. It looks like we have maybe a question from Vicky Miller. Hi, Vicky. Good to see you. How do any of your hobbies, golf, martial arts, trap shooting, relate to racing and motorsports? So for me, I'll answer those as a three-part question. So one, golf for me is just a nice pastime for me to get outside and enjoy the weather. I'm from San Diego, so it's really easy to get out and play a few rounds, which is nice. It's really relaxing. I think it's a nice contrast to racing, actually. So opposed to training for racing, I think it's something that really just keeps me nice and relaxed and go outside and have some fun. For martial arts, I actually find it a great training method. It's very physical. It's very tiring. So I use that actually for training. So I use a personal trainer 3 times a week, and we incorporate some martial arts in that as well, but it really keeps me nice and fit. And then for trap shooting, I think that's, again, just a hobby of mine. I haven't been able to do it a lot lately, but again, that's just another hobby of mine that I like to go out and maybe blow some steam or just have some fun. It's kind of a nice way to get outdoors and just do something rather than stay in the office and work on the computer. So we'll take a couple more of our social media questions. Again, thank you to everybody who submitted questions. I'm just scrolling through here, and we have so many, which is awesome. So thank you guys for doing that. We have one from Andrew on Snapchat. Who has been a pivotal figure in helping you get to Formula 4? So our journey to Formula 4 has been extremely fortunate. I've been able to associate myself with a lot of people who've been extremely crucial in getting me to where I am. I think a lot of it started back in my days in Skip Barber. So we started off in the Skip Barber Racing School and won a couple scholarships there. So all the coaches there, I see we have Ray Scott, I think, just joined in too. He's one of the coaches. So all the coaches from there really helped build the foundation for me as a race car driver, both on and off the track. And then through Skip Barber, we were able to get into the Team USA scholarship with Jeremy Shaw, and I think that was a huge springboard for my career. It really just kind of took me to the next level, being able to compete overseas in England in the Formula Ford Festival and Walter Hayes Trophy. All of it was extremely crucial for me. And then we came back and won a scholarship to run in USF 2000 that year, and being associated with all those guys over here. And then ultimately being able to come to F4 through the Kiwi Motorsport guys. They gave me a wonderful opportunity to run in the F4 United States Championship. All of those people, I think, have been extremely crucial to getting me to where I am today. I don't think I could pinpoint it on one person, but all of those people, I think, had a very important role to get me to where I am. Let's see. So the next question is from a fellow competitor, F4 United States Championship driver, Jose Blanco. So I actually tested with Jose back in the off-season with the Kiwi Motorsports guys. He's a great kid. Actually just won, I think it was the last race at Road Atlanta, really improving. So he'll definitely be a challenger for us. But his question is, what is it like to be on a team with Eduardo Barrichello? Does Rubens Barrichello help or ever coach you? Is he a down-to-earth guy? So multi-part question here. What is it like being a teammate to Eduardo Barrichello? I mean, for me, it's awesome. Eduardo is just a super cool kid. A lot of energy, kind of plays a lot of tricks on you and stuff. He's actually, the entire family is super down to earth. Rubens is extremely helpful, both on and off the track. He actually, so for example, this weekend, it's just myself, Rubens, and Eduardo here. Typically, we have Oz Negri, who also helps Eduardo as a driver coach. So when Oz is here, Rubens kind of actually takes on more of a role as just the dad. So he kind of hangs around the pits, and it's great communicating with him. He's super down-to-earth guy. When Oz isn't here, Rubens does take on more of a driver coaching role, and he's extremely knowledgeable, obviously being a multiple race winner in Formula One for Ferrari. He's extremely helpful for us. But, I mean, the entire team chemistry here between the DC Autosport guys, myself, the Barrichellos, I mean, it's really an awesome experience, and I can't thank everybody enough for it. We have another 3-part question here from Jana Johnston, which is awesome. She's been following our career, and I think a lot of race car drivers' careers, so thank you for continuing your support. How do you stay fit for racing? How often do you train, and how do you have to eat for racing? So kind of like what I mentioned before in the previous question, I use a lot of martial arts, so we work with a personal trainer 3 times a week. to stay fit for racing. I also go mountain biking quite a bit. There's a lot of awesome trails in San Diego, so I like mountain biking rather than running. I'm not really a huge running fan. So I like to go mountain biking a lot, but a lot of it's cardio, to be honest. I mean, the weightlifting is important as well. The F4 cars are quite heavy in the steering, which is really nice because it gives you a lot of good feedback. But for me, I personally just like to do a lot of cardio. And then regarding eating for racing, up until the race weekend, I actually have like a very strict low carb diet, which absolutely sucks, but it's been super effective on keeping the weight down, which is important for me, being 6 foot tall. And then once I get to the race weekend, a lot of that goes away, and it's just more like healthy foods, a lot of vegetables and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Keeping on the food topic, my mom, Janet Dickerson, asked on Twitter, it's funny that you follow this on Twitter, Mom, whose cooking do you like better, mine or Dad's? Obviously yours, Mom. It's awesome. She's super supportive. She can't come out to the races very often, unfortunately. We have 2 dogs back home. We have 2 rescue puppies who are very dear to my heart, so she stays home and watches them while my dad gets to come out here and have fun. But sometimes they'll switch off. Like my dad will stay home, my mom comes out. And they'll usually both go to F1. That's obviously the finale for F4 United States Championship, and it's the biggest event of the year. So both of them, instead of fighting over coming out to it, they both decided to come out, which is awesome. Another food question. Wow, we get a lot of food questions here. From Toxic on Twitter. What is your favorite Japanese dish? So if you guys don't know, or can't tell, I'm Japanese American. Both my grandmothers were Japanese, came over to the States when they were younger. So I'm actually half Japanese. My favorite Japanese dish back in the day, when my grandma was still alive, she used to make me fried rice, ketchup fried rice. It sounds really weird, but it actually tastes really good. Nowadays, I've kind of liked, starting to like a lot more fish. So I personally like sushi. But yeah, that's my favorite dish right now. Probably California roll. So we'll go back to taking a few live questions. Let me just scroll through here. I see we got quite a few comments, so I just don't want to miss anybody here. Thank you everybody for watching too. I really appreciate this. So I have a question here. Let's see. If you could race in any series in the world, which would you choose? From Sam Freiberg. So Sam used to be my mechanic at Afterburner Autosport. It's awesome to see you. Wish we could have worked together. But so if I were to race in any series in the world, which would you choose? I think for me right now, I think I'm in the best possible series for me personally, the F4 United States Championship. Obviously, to build off of myself, I think there's a lot for me to learn here. Develops a lot of great racing, and I think I can personally build a lot here in the F4 United States Championship. So I think this is a perfect series for me, and obviously I want to take my career to the next level next year doing the F3 Americas Championship. Obviously, if I could race in any series for the rest of my life, I would want to do the Verizon IndyCar Series Championship. Hopefully I could have a long career in that. But I think right now the F4 United States Championship is good for me. Looking for some more questions. What track would you like to see on the schedule next year? So I've actually put a lot of thought in this. So obviously our goal is to win the F4 United States Championship at the end of the year and move into the F3 Americas Championship. There's a nice scholarship prize at the end of the year associated with that. So if we're doing F3 next year, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can tell me, it looks like we might have a race in Miami next year on the streets of Miami with F1. I've heard some rumors. It looks like they actually have a track layout. So obviously if we were racing F3, I'd love to be associated with that event. We have a lot of friends in Miami, so I think it would be awesome to have a street course in the F3 car and be able to do that, and then come race at COTA at the end of the year as well with F1. So I think that would be an awesome circuit for us. Looking for some more. What professional driver do you compare yourself to? I don't necessarily know if I compare myself to any driver. I definitely look up to a couple drivers nowadays, and certainly a lot of them are in the Verizon IndyCar Series Championship. Joseph Newgarden, obviously somebody that I look up to. He came through a similar path through Skip Barber and then winning the Team USA scholarship and competing in some other junior Formula Series. And he's obviously somebody who's made an excellent career running for Team Penske now. So he's somebody that I look up to. Another driver, Joel Miller, he's a San Diego-based driver. He's running in prototypes now. He's somebody that I really enjoy talking to and bounce a lot of ideas off of. And he's really helped me not only in car racing, but he's an avid go-karter as well and helped me back in the day when we were running on the same team, coaching me there. So he's definitely somebody that I look up to as well. I'll go back to doing some of the social media questions just because we have quite a few here. And then I'll get back to you guys who are submitting the live questions. I really appreciate you guys doing this. So I'm just going to make sure that we get everybody in here. Okay, so we have another one from Sam on Facebook. Out of all the series from go-karts to F4, which has been the most exciting to race in? I think personally the F4 United States Championship has been extremely exciting. There's a lot of cars in the field, so there's always a battle going on. We run on some great circuits too that have very long straightaways that induce a lot of passing, so that's a lot of great, good fun. I think last year at COTA for WEC, it was great racing, and then we had the school bus come on track, so that was quite interesting as well. But F4 has been an excellent series for me in terms of competitiveness. Going back to the original part of the question, for me, I really enjoyed running go-karts. I wish I could get into go-karts more often nowadays, but that was some of the most fun racing that I think I've ever had. A lot of it was just super down to earth. It was like myself, my dad working on a go-kart. We'd go out, race with a bunch of competitors, and then everybody would go out and have dinner together. It was just a lot of fun and a great atmosphere to be around. So I'd say, car racing F4 has been great for me. Go-karts probably would be one of the best memories of my entire career. We have another one from Noah on Facebook. What is your favorite track to drive and why? So I guess currently on the F4 schedule, the favorite track for me to drive this year, I guess, last year I really enjoyed Mosport. That was our first event. I really enjoyed driving there. This year, I would say probably Mid-Ohio. I haven't been able to get on Mid-Ohio in an F4 car before, but we did get in on Mid-Ohio in a USF 2000 car, and that was an extremely fun race. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend, actually. The testing's going extremely well here this weekend, or these past couple days. I think we'll have good pace there, so I'm really looking forward to Mid-Ohio. We have one from Ray on Facebook. What is the most difficult challenge you've encountered as you climb the open wheel ladder? So again, kind of going back into my background, I've been fortunate enough to win a lot of scholarships through Skip Barber, Team USA, and then USF 2000. It's really helped keep my career going. And then in 2017, that was actually the first year where we didn't have any scholarship funding to really help us move into the next year. So I would say 2017 for me I'd say it was considered one of our most successful years, but at the same time, it was one of our most challenging years at the same time because we did a partial season with Newman Walks Racing in USF 2000, ran out of budget, scrambled, was presented an opportunity from Kiwi Motorsport about 2 weeks before Mosport, and then fortunately we're able to finish the season with them and still finish third in that championship. We were doing really well with Newman Walks. I still love those guys. I just saw them last weekend at Road America. But that was obviously one of the most difficult times in my career, and I'd say I'm really fortunate enough for that to be one of the most difficult and challenging times in my career just because it was still an awesome year. So we're hoping to continue that progress into this next year. We have one from the Greenway 84 on Twitter. Who is your racing hero? I think I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. I would say I definitely look up to a lot of drivers. I think when I was younger, people like Ayrton Senna, Paul Newman, those were all guys that I would consider my racing heroes. I wish I could meet them. But going back, I think people like Joel Miller, Joseph Newgarden, people that I can really relate to, I would say are more so people that I could look up to and consider my racing heroes nowadays, people that I might be able to reach out to and ask for advice. But I really like those guys because they have a similar background to me and came up through car ranks very similar to myself. Hey, Don.
Hey.
You're good. This is Don Connor, our team owner. We're testing here at Blackhawk Farms. I'm actually in their conference room. He's kind enough to let me do this in the middle of our session, so we're packing some things up here. But I'll continue going on. We have a question from the Drizzle522 on Twitter. What is your favorite pre-race jam? So, like I talked about earlier, I like to listen to music a lot. I personally like EDM right now. I don't know. It's kind of just a phase, I think, of mine. My friends really like it. Being from SoCal, too, it's kind of the norm down there. So I kind of like EDM, a lot of Marshmello, to be honest. And it probably sound like I'm not even talking about music right now, but EDM is kind of my favorite stuff. So we'll go back to taking a couple of the live questions here. And thank you guys all for joining in and submitting your questions, and all those who submitted questions earlier. It's really awesome. All right. Let's see. We have one from Carol Durley. Have you always had awesome marketing and PR managers? Yeah, for sure. Carol did a lot of my social media back in 2017. I've been associated, obviously, with Alicia from USF 2000. She's been awesome to me in 2016 and even nowadays. And then now I have currently Ann Roy working for me with me, not for me, in the PR and marketing side. She's been super helpful as well. So being able to associate myself with all those guys has been extremely helpful in my career. I have one from Lisa. Could NOLA be a consideration for a race? Had a blast watching all of you practice. It was great meeting you at the NOLA test, Lisa. I think I personally really enjoyed NOLA. I think for the F4 cars in particular, it's quite nice because we have that really long front straight. So there'll be good passing there. I think after going to the NOLA test, it's definitely something that we can talk to the series. It would definitely be nice getting back down there. It's always a great atmosphere. As long as we can keep away from the rain, but definitely NOLA is a consideration. Let's see. How do I deal with the heat? Obviously not very well. Look at me, I'm sweating like crazy here. Drinking a lot of water, a lot of Gatorade, just keeping myself hydrated. It's really important for these weekends. I think it's going to be about 95 degrees in Mid-Ohio, which means it'll probably be closer to about 110 in the car. So keeping myself really hydrated is super crucial. Scrolling through a lot of high dons. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. I'm going to go back to some of the submitted questions earlier in this week. We have one from Edward on Facebook. I know you're very involved on, off, and away from the track. What is the best part of being a driver and a role model for younger kids? For me personally, obviously the being off the track is just as crucial as on the track for me. And being able to be a role model for younger kids is definitely something that I never really thought I would be in the shoes of. And it's awesome. I'm super humbled to be able to do that, especially for the young go-karters that are looking to work their way up into, junior formula or sports cars or whatever they want to do. I find it extremely humbling to be able to do that. And I guess my message to them would just be to never give up. We've been in a position where I thought I was down and out of the count, wasn't going to be able to race, and you never know what opportunities are going to show up. And if you work hard at it, it seems like it's definitely possible. And, that's the way I've been doing it. Just never give up. And we've been fortunate enough to find the opportunities to continue racing. And especially with the F4 United States Championship, they've given me the biggest opportunity to showcase what we can do. We have another one from Carol on Facebook. What is it like to prep for and drive in a 12+ hour endurance race? What is the biggest unexpected difference between sprint and enduro? And what is the most important thing that you've learned? So if some of you guys don't know, I did a couple of endurance races last year. The last one that I did was actually 25 hours at Thunder Hill and a NP01, NASA Prototype 01. It's kind of like a small tube frame, I can't remember the name, prototype car, and it's a lot of fun. So I got the opportunity to do that with a lot of good friends of mine, and I would say it's just a lot different. The prep to me seemed very similar. So I'd get on the simulator, do a lot of conditioning and all of that. You basically do your homework on the track and the car and everything. That was all pretty similar. But I would say the biggest difference for me was obviously the racecraft. You have to be a lot more calculated with your risks, a lot more patient with everything. And I think that personally helped translate into my sprint racing as well, because obviously being able to take calculated risks for me is something that's really kept me in the top of the championship. So that really helped me there. We're going to take one from Barry Mullins on Facebook. From go-karts to F4, what were your most challenging changes that you had to learn? So obviously a go-kart and any sort of car are extremely different, mainly because of the aero associated with it, and also there's a suspension on a car rather than a go-kart, which is just a two-frame chassis, straight axle, so there's no real suspension on it. So those two things were something for me that I had to personally get used to. Skip Barber was an awesome way for me to get used to that. with their tube frame cars, so that was great for me, and also had a little bit of aero. But those were the two main things that I really had to get used to, and a lot of it was bouncing ideas and feedback from guys like Joel Miller and associating myself with those types of people who were really able to help and coach me throughout those days. I'm going to take a couple more questions here. I see we had some more submitted on our Facebook Live. Unfortunately, I do have to run in a little bit, so I'm going to say this is probably our last call for questions. I will get to you after we do these, but if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to send them my way. Let's see. I see we have Ann Roy here. That's awesome that you're following me. What do you eat to stay healthy and stay in shape for racing? I think kind of touched base on that a little bit. A lot of it has been low carb stuff for me, staying away from breads and stuff. That's really helped me stay nice and light for the F4 United States Championship. When I'm at the track, just still trying to eat healthy and those types of things. So we'll get back to doing a couple of our submitted questions here. We only have a couple more, so if you guys do have any questions that you want to submit on the live chat, feel free to do so. So we have one from Frankie Zoe on Twitter. What are you studying in college? So right now I'm taking a couple of courses in college online right now just because of the travel schedule during the summer. But I'm trying to go into mechanical engineering. I thought that would be an excellent route for me to stay involved in motorsports, even if I wasn't a driver. So it's really helped me. But right now I'm kind of just taking a lot of our general education classes. So I actually have English and mathematics right now as our summer classes. And hopefully we can continue on to a 4-year college later into maybe the next year or so. Our last question that we have from Sydney on Facebook. Sorry if it just got loud. We just turned on our car. Do you have any pre-race superstitions? I don't really have too many superstitions, to be honest. I think, I guess the biggest thing for me is getting in on the left side of the car. I always do that, and that's something that I just have to do. It just doesn't feel comfortable getting in on the right. So that's something that I have to do. Other than that, there's not really much. For a while, we had U-Swag socks that I always wore on race day with Justin Wilson, obviously. We all know what happened there, but that was something that I used to do a lot. So it looks like we had our hat winner here. I'm just trying to see what happened. It looks like Jana Johnson is the winner of our hat for this event, but really appreciate you guys for submitting your questions. It was awesome to see how many we got, and thank you all for the support. All of you guys who've stayed online and watched this the entire time, really appreciate it. Looking forward to Mid-Ohio. Should be a good weekend. Hopefully this testing translates well into that, but hopefully we can come back to you guys with another win and do another one of these soon. But really appreciate you guys for the opportunity. Can't thank the F4 United States Championship, Honda, Pirelli, Onrook, all those guys for putting on such a great championship, and I'll be in touch and see you guys soon. Thank you very much.